Good afternoon, everybody. This is State of the Galaxy. This is episode 16, and this is going to be an interesting show. Why don't we hop right into it? So 3.2 came out. How did y'all enjoy that?
Super enjoyed it, watching from afar, watching you guys kill Monolith, and then noticing that nobody in the community was going to farm it.
Well, not nobody.
Well,
We saw Agild out there.
Yeah, Provectus was going to farm it, so that they're the only guild left for raiding.
I mean, you played
Most
it
of the
for
guilds
like a couple of days, didn't you? You had to
for
have.
3 points. You talking about the Monolith thing?
No, like the game during 3.2.
Well, no, but 3.2 was like, what happened with 3.2 was literally update came out, we couldn't do the boss, people were trying to get in like through the corners of walls, and then the minute that it was confirmed that the 204 main hands were a real thing, we were like, oh, okay. This is what they want from us. Okay. I guess we have to decide if we want to deal with this. We didn't raid during 3.2. I played for like a total of like an hour and a half for 3.2. It was just...
We did our farm the first week before you could legitimately get into the area. When it opened up, we didn't go into the area. I mean, maybe some of us did. Then on Tuesday, I think it was Esane who had completed the quest line, port me in, and we did the Monolith. And we one-shot it, and saw the 204 main hand, and kind of shrugged and stopped. We didn't even go to our regular farm.
By the way, you guys doing it with like basically ignoring all the mechanics, like I just wonder, like, if you actually nobody's really a big fan except for people that just can't clear the content, and I'm okay. I understand why they would be happy about a 204 main hand. I'm not trying to like trash the community or whatever, but if let's say, I don't know, but hypothetically, I agree that it shouldn't be there. By the way, but let's say that you killed it, but you actually had to do something to kill it, like it was actually a difficult boss. Would that make it more palatable that it drops something that we don't think it should drop? Or is it just like... Because I just think it's a bad idea altogether, but I feel like maybe if the boss wasn't like absolute trash ball and was like just a joke to kill, that people wouldn't be as mad.
Okay, so it dropping a main hand under what you suggest means it therefore must be harder than Revan.
I mean, that's the thing. It should, but the problem is I don't think that's how a solo raid boss should be. I think a solo raid boss should be able to be cleared by the majority of the community, like a Taboro. Like, I'm okay with a boss like Taboro having difficulty like Taboro. I don't think that it needs to be...
It depends. No. Let me
more on the side of Taboro than Revan.
Let me qualify your statement. When Burning Crusade released, Tier 4 was Karazhan, which is a very large raid, Gruul's Lair, which is a 2-boss raid, and Magtheridon, which is a 1-boss raid. If it's something like that, I'm okay with it. Like, then you can actually have a 1-boss raid be part of a legitimate discussion when talking about raid bosses. Nobody thinks about the Eyeless, or Taboro's Courtyard, Golden Fury, I think it's called?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nobody thinks about the Eyeless, or Golden Fury, or, what's that thing in the Grey Secant? Nobody thinks about that.
Xeno.
Yeah. Those are not legitimate parts of raiding.
No,
not in
and
the way the
you know
game's currently set up.
You know what's interesting? Because I was... One of the, I guess, biggest pessimistic moments I had was, oh god, they're going to use this boss as a reason to say, we gave you more content than one raid in one calendar year. But then, the way Musco described the new boss was interesting, because he didn't call it a raid boss. He called it a lair boss.
Well, this is going into something I noticed when we were in there. It had, you know in the bottom right, where there's a little...
where the map is, the thing above the map.
The purple thing said, I think, heroic area? It was in purple, which I don't think raids are ever in purple. That's usually when you like go into a phase, an actual heroic phase, or a real heroic area on a planet. That leads me to think that maybe it wasn't originally intended to be an operations group area. Maybe.
It would not surprise me. Like, it honestly wouldn't surprise me.
Like I bet the world boss was intended for that, but not the 204 main hand dropping dude.
Honestly, like what I think, and I don't think this is like super like tinfoil hat. I think this is just probably pretty obvious. I think that the world boss that's actually there would be like the equivalent of how there are two world bosses on Hoth, and one of them at level is a joke, and the other one you actually have to press buttons. And then like the one that is not the joke and have to press buttons is the one that they're calling a lair boss in Zyos. Like I don't think there's anything about it that like lends you to think, oh, this is definitely a raid boss because, you know, let's have four. Well, technically you don't have to have anyone do mechanics if you just heal through it. But even the way they intend you to do the fight, half the raid does nothing, and that to me leads me to think it's more like a world boss than an actual fucking raid boss.
Galen
when
is saying,
you only need a few people to do anything.
Galen is saying all the layer bosses have that, and I presume he means the purple text above the map. Which, maybe he's right. I was probably looking at it with hyper suspicion. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'll go too far down the rabbit hole with you that they're just using it as a, here, we told you we would give you more content than, or content more frequently than once a year.
I don't think that's what they're doing either. I mean, going by what they said, we will be getting content, I would say October, November. I think this is just to help people that can't kill Revan. This isn't going to help people kill Revan that can't kill Revan, though. Like,
yeah.
It's going to help maybe on, like, Underlurker, Torque, but Blaster, Cortani, Revan, still for most guilds, they won't be able to kill it, so not exactly sure what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
It just feels like a really, really, really like overdone way to attempt to trivialize content. Like they're already nerfing, and I'm cool with that, whatever. But it feels like they're not nerfing it enough in places where it should be. Like Blaster Master still not being nerfed is like silly to me. Like you're gonna sit here and you're gonna say Bulo's too hard, but you're not gonna touch Blaster Master. Like,
well, you know the problem with
like
that.
Torque.
No one's doing Blaster Justin.
Yeah, because
they haven't made it
first.
that far. The majority of guilds,
like,
the majority of guilds who would need that nerf have not made it that far because they're stuck on Bulo or Torque.
Like to me, it wouldn't. Okay, the only fight that would be hard to nerf because I'm not sure exactly how they would go about it would be Blaster Master. The other bosses that like haven't been nerfed yet that probably should. Like I literally don't understand why they couldn't just do it now. Like Cortani could be nerfed right now,
and should be.
And and there's no reason for it not to be at this point, because any guild that like wants to be able to say they did the hard content, they've literally had like half a year to do it. Like at this point, there's no need for us to like be all hyped up and bonered up about like a hard boss. Like it's done. It's trivial for guilds that have killed it, and for those that haven't, like it's a hard block because people can't. Like I've watched guilds wipe for 6 hours a night for 2 months on that boss, and it's because they don't have enough healing, and they could easily nerf the healing requirement and it would be fine. And you could say, oh, well, all the good healers are, you know, they're butthurt if they don't have something to heal. It's like, look,
oh well,
they've either left, or it's already trivial for them to heal. So it's not like it's gonna get any better. Like you can't, as much as we want things to be tuned around us this late into the content, it shouldn't be tuned around us. It needs to be tuned to be made more available to the rest of the community.
What do you think? Stepping away from ops for just a second, how successful do you think 3.2 has been? Because I have not set foot on Zyust other than when I was summoned to the daily area. I mean, I'm not representative of the player base, of course, but as I see it, it's Oricon without any compelling reason to go there.
I think it's probably... I think the metrics would show... I mean, I don't have them, but I would imagine they'd be worse than Oricon for the reasons you pointed out, and the fact that, like, I can't go on Zyos until I've finished the Shadow of Revan storyline, and on almost every character. I honestly do not know people, hardcore or casual, whatever, that where all their characters, they finished the Yavin 4 storyline. Most of them finished right after getting to Yavin. And it's like maybe they have it on one character, so it's like on one character you go. Yeah, I have one too.
I have them on my materials, and and like one Republic character.
Yeah, but like,
But just because because I went back and did it. Like,
yeah, and I
didn't
just
have
don't
to.
imagine. I don't imagine that people outside of like the one character are going to go crazy and do that storyline, because it's not worth going back doing multiple times. Like there's not that much content, and there's
it's the same
not
story.
much. Yeah,
It's the same story between factions too. Apparently,
Is there a rep grind or some type of like stuff
no,
like that where
there's
you
no
get...
rep.
There's no rep grind. It's like a legacy token you get. That's for doing the missions, I believe, like the dailies.
how
Yeah.
the fuck is there no like? I'm not even saying I want
Well,
rep
I'm
grinds, but like, how is
you
there not a rep grind?
want a spoiler?
Hmm.
I'm gonna spoil you, so cover your ears if you haven't done this. The Emperor eats everybody, so there's nobody to grind rep with on
But-
Ziost. But I mean, I know that, and I haven't done it.
So 3.2 was, I don't know, it takes 30 minutes to do all the content and story-wise, and then there's the world boss and the instance boss.
Yeah.
If you
And,
if
like-
you spacebar Milis, it's 16 minutes to do Ziost.
Yeah, well, obviously, but most people won't spacebar.
Yeah.
So that's 3.2, and then the next content is 3.3. Is that 3.3 Fallen Empire or whatever?
No, I think
June. That
So-
date they gave us is the date of EA's
E3 presentation.
Yes.
I don't
So-
think
and
that's
that's on
going
a
to be a
Monday,
patch.
so
I
that
think
is not
that
a
will
patch day.
announce. I think that's going to announce a major thing for the towards the end of the year. I don't think that's going to be a patch, because they're working. So right now they're working on an 11-week content cycle, and that date would line up to be 7 weeks. And like Fallen Empire with that date, there's no way they have that shit ready. So like that's just going to be an announcement.
Yeah. And anyway, June 15th, it might even be too early for their cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's 11 weeks.
It's 7.
Oh, fuck. All right. Let's go back to the world boss, or not the world boss, but the
Instance
monolith.
boss.
So why is it dropping 204 main hands? We mentioned that maybe it's some misguided attempt to nerf the content that we're already doing. Is that the only reason we can think of?
I first thought it was going to give something against progression rate or something to do in the min-max, but then
You can't farm
They-
it for
you can't
stuff.
farm it, so it's not that. I think it's just trying to help the player base. I personally wasn't really annoyed with the 204 gear. I thought it was kind of weird it was a main hand and not a implant, earpiece, or relic, but, you know, not the big thing that annoyed me with it. The difficulty, I guess, doesn't justify the main hand or anything like that, because it's a really easy boss. I think we 7-manned it on the PTS, and I'm just not sure what we're trying to do with it.
I'm gonna clarify. I actually kind of am upset with by the fact that it drops a 204 main hand. I wouldn't be upset if, like, and I didn't feel the same way when we went from, say, Kettle Dragon gear to, was it Dreadforged? That stuff was better, and it was easier to get, but it was a whole new tier, and it was hard mode. I understood intuitively that, you know, we're going to get a whole new tier. It doesn't matter that my Kettle Dragon gear is now invalidated. But seeing that 204 main hand drop, and I mean, knowing that it dropped anyway, it basically strangled our desire to keep farming in any instance in the game right now.
Well, it's like, and the funny thing is, a lot of people that, in a way that I'm trying to be respectful, that do not understand progression rating, they've brought up the Kel Dragon becoming irrelevant when DF comes out, when DF and DP were easier in hard mode than in Nightmare, and it's like, yeah, I understand that, but that's a new tier coming out of Nightmare, like you said. This is weird because we haven't had Nightmare, and they're taking the best loot drop in the entire game for the hypothetical Nightmare tier, and they're putting it into a boss that can be killed in less than 10 minutes of progression at this point for any guild that tries it.
Well,
Like, it doesn't... No, any guild where, like, that kind of gear would matter from a farming standpoint, not from a just let's get it once standpoint. Like, any progression guild like that, it doesn't make sense. Because if you think about it, it's like, if Nightmare is going to be a thing, it will be 204, because, like, the way that they do gear is fairly obvious. They don't exactly hide what item level they're going to do their shit on. And it's like, so what does hard mode Revan drop in Nightmare? Like, what is that going to drop? Because it won't drop a main hand, because there's literally not going to be a point of it dropping a main hand.
Drops the unassembled.
Unless
main
it
hand.
skips
If it's but if it's the unassembled main hand, like, there's not going to be a large reason for people to do that after literally one time.
All you need is the barrel, by the way, and you're getting the barrel from the monolith. So,
That's a-
okay, they're actually
your
backing
mod,
themselves into a corner. Well, you're
Yeah,
gonna
'cause it's like-
you're gonna get mods and shit from the other gear that drops earlier. So
Well,
why
exactly.
would you
I'm
do
saying
it?
that's the only thing that would possibly be an upgrade for you is the mod, because you've already got the enhancement and you've got the barrel.
But there's a
So it's
0%
like-
chance you won't have other options.
Of
for
course.
That mod.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, what the hell are they going to do?
They're
That's
backing
why-
themselves
and-
into a corner too, because
Well, see, what I think,
They
some
they
people
might have to
some
skip
people
a tier.
disagree. Well, some people disagree with me. I think this is probably more realistic. I honestly think, and I don't think it's a conspiracy, I just think it's a signaling that this is like a change of the guard and how they're treating the game. I don't think we're getting Nightmare for this tier. I just don't think we are, and I think the biggest hint is a 204 main hand dropping from this boss.
okay.
like-
But when the next tier comes out for, the next set of instances, if there are any, Doom, what item level are they going to be? Are they going to skip a tier? And if they do, you know how very afraid they are of making player characters do more damage lately.
I think
they're working at cross purposes.
Story mode would drop 204 probably. Then hard mode 210.
That is still skipping a gear, because story mode used to never be an upgrade if you had the latest gear from the old stuff.
Yeah, but the old stuff was usually Nightmare though.
And at the same time, this is completely different.
But
so
even when Dread War came out, if you went into story mode with, what was it, Underworld, you didn't get any upgrades, because I think it dropped Underworld, or maybe even Arcane.
No, I think they're gonna skip it too.
Well, that's, again, they're working at cross purposes. They don't want player
No, of
power
course.
to grow that much, they said.
But like they're always contradicting themselves. Like let's like.
Well, maybe they
not
shouldn't perform, I don't know, boneheaded experiments like this.
But like if it just okay, like great example that like we'll get into more in depth later. Like when John Jaranowski talked about dual saber throw not being rotational for Marauders, and then literally one dev post later said he was considering making the set bonus activate with dual saber throw.
Well, that would make it
So
rotational.
those are yes, it would demand it to be rotational. Like trust me, BioWare is more than capable of making decisions that are at odds with their own like intentions. I mean, I don't see the like. I look at the 204 main hands. And it's not like I'm like super angry about it. It's more just like me seeing that. It's like I don't think there's a point to them saying let's do Nightmare when when you put that out. Because like, look, let's be frank. There aren't that many guilds left that could compete at Nightmare. Like there really isn't, and the ones that are still left are basically super melancholy and don't want to raid. Like you're gonna have like, and okay, like this isn't. I don't know how to say this without it sounding rude to other guilds, but it's gonna just have to sound this way. The guilds that are still left that like have enough people to do Nightmare, it's not one of these things where I'm saying, oh, if we were still playing, like they couldn't compete. Like it's not even about that. It's literally the guilds that are still left. They couldn't kill a Nightmare Revan.
No.
So what is the point of there being a Nightmare when like the progression guilds that are still left like can't kill the shit? Like that to me that's the biggest thing. You don't like even before
they could kill a Nightmare Revan if they made it only slightly harder than hard mode. If they reverted the nerfs and like made a little
if they
more
made it
damage go
only
out.
So if they made it only a little bit harder than pre-nerf hard mode,
But it would take
but
a
like
while.
it was. Yeah, but here's the thing: it would also, unless they're literally tuning it for full 198 and that's it. Like if it's tuned for higher gear, like they'll have the same problems because like DPS was a thing on the final phase.
Uh-huh.
But like if they do the thing where with like DP with Council, where it was basically tuned for Dreadforged gear instead of Nightmare gear. Like, if it's then yeah, they probably could. But I just there was already a very small percentage of guilds that was going to compete in Nightmare, and there was a pretty small percentage of guilds that was even going to attempt Nightmare, and like now the number would be even smaller, and I just don't see there being a point.
Yes. If I were them, I would not spend effort on making it, I guess.
Agreed.
I don't know. I disagree. People move on all the time. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of the top tier progression guilds stop playing right now, but like, it's been that way since like 1.2. People stopped playing after Nightmare EC. People stopped playing during Scum and Villainy.
But what's
So, I mean,
but while they were doing that, BioWare was still making, hard content that would incentivize people to get good, or people who were good to come back. I know people who have done that. They're not doing that right now. They're not doing it at all.
Also, the whole experiment of Hardmare failing pretty hard. Like, let's be real. That means we're not going to get hard content again. So the people that would like come back that are good and like challenging content, there's no reason for them to come back because the next content that comes out is going to be easy as tits.
But on that same thing, like if they came out openly and said, "Hey, this experiment failed. Sorry, all the people that really enjoyed it, but we're gonna have to scale back hard mode and just go back to what they used to do and like say Nightmare DF, Nightmare DP." I don't think most progression guilds have issues with that because we're still getting Nightmare, our little thing in the water.
Yes.
I think what the worst thing for the game is that they're not being communicative of what they're doing, and like they just don't know. No one knows what they want from the game currently. They're just trying a bunch of different things. It appears.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like they have a clear direction for what they want. Is there anybody left in the progression community? Like, we're sort of here, but not really.
Define anyone left.
Like, anybody decent? Anybody worth calling progression guilds?
I mean, there are people in progression guilds that we could call good. Most of the guilds I'm aware of that are still raiding, it's either not their main team raiding, or it's a group that took almost the entire tier to kill the final boss, and they're just picking up scraps from other guilds dying.
But why are they... How do I phrase this?
Because... Why are they still playing? Because
why are they still playing?
They can be a big fish in a small pond.
Yep.
Provectus can, and like this isn't anything negative about Provectus. They've done a lot of recruiting. They worked really hard to like get it from where they were during DF and DP as Koyu, where they couldn't kill final bosses, to killing final bosses in this tier. Like, good for them. But the TLDR is like they were last in line on their server and way down the line in the game in general, and now if you look at the landscape, they are legitimately one of the quote-unquote big dogs because all of the other big dogs already left the game. And for a guild like that...
Okay, well, hold on. Let's go through your progression thread. Who has left?
Let's see. If we... Okay, so let's say... So here's the problem. A lot of guilds are holding on, or their top people are holding on to not fully quit on the game until it's confirmed what happens in 3.3. So, like, the main group of Hates You, if Nightmare doesn't happen, like, by 3.3, they're done. So, like, you'd have, like, Group B, which is Cali Killed Nox players, which isn't competitive. I know that there are European guilds, like Black Bantha, like Head talked about on the forum, like, if they don't get Nightmare by 3.3, it's pretty much time for them to uninstall. Zorz is done for a number of reasons. Like, I've listened to D&T people talk about how if there's no Nightmare 3.3, they're going to uninstall. There are already people who don't want to play anymore. I've like been in Mumble, like when you guys killed Monolith, and when that was done, like it was like, do you want to do farm? And like you guys were like, no, nope, and then everybody logged into WoW. Like there's,
Okay, let me stop you there. Does BioWare care?
Nope.
No, I don't know.
Yes.
Should they?
Yep.
Should they care? Yes, but it shouldn't be for reasons that like we care about. Like they should care, not because like we want to be cared for. They should care because Well, no, like it's not like they need to care about us because gosh darn it, we matter. It's like in the grand scheme, we matter in ways that like aren't the ways that we care about. Like it's not that like we matter because we're good at the game. Like no, that's not it at all. It's like at some level we matter because when the next tier comes out and you have almost nobody left who played at a certain level, like who's gonna make your guides? Who's going to like make your rotations? Like there's a big like skill drop off, and that's okay. And yes, people will absolutely step up in our place. But it's
I don't.
it's at what percentage do they step up in our place? Because if you have like what happens when next tier like people don't know how to kill some boss that's actually easy to kill and they're just not looking at it the right way, and the guide for it is like written so terribly that like it's just unpuggable. Like that could happen again.
They'll just make it.
Yeah, they'll just
keep
nerf
nerfing
it into the ground, and the ops will become worse and worse and worse. It's like,
But you said we'll just get replaced. But I don't.
We'll get replaced.
And
what I'm saying is it won't be at a level that's near what it should be. Like we'll be replaced, but like in order for people to replace and be at the same level, like it's going to take a while for people to get better.
So I kind of go back and forth on that because I'm not sure. Like I know that's the natural cycle. People leave, and new people come in. I don't know if the game is going in a direction that will allow that. That's what I meant before when I said that they're not making the content to incentivize people to get better, or for better people to come back.
I don't want to. Oh, go ahead, Milos.
Ramu's right, you're right. It's been a time, like, there's never been this point in the game where many guilds have left the game. They're, like, top-tier progression guilds. Let's say Tier 1 guilds, like Zorz, D&T, HU. I'm not sure where Ambassadors is at, and other, like, European guilds. But, you know, over time, they will come to be again. But I don't think, so to speak, there will ever be 5 to 7 day rating guilds in this game again, during, like, progression, so to speak. I mean, people will step up. If you want to get better at the game, you naturally get better at the game. It's a better way to look at it. You guys don't think anyone will ever come up and be top dogs again because people do get better over time. I mean, there's lots of people in Zorz 2 years ago. You're like, what the hell is this kid doing? He's clicking. He's really bad at the game. You know, people get better because they want to get better. But I think for the next tier of content, it's going to be extremely fun to watch from my backyard, so to speak.
Yeah.
Were you making fun of my clicking? I'm just curious.
Oh, no.
Okay.
You were an excellent player during TFB, Yellow.
No, and to answer some of chat asking if we think that we're God's gift to the game and the arrogance is real, it's like, no, like, I'm happy, like, I'm not sitting here saying, like, oh, like, the game is dead. It's not like that. Like, the game is going to be...
There'll never be another like us.
You know, it's not like that. It's more like, the issue isn't that no one can take our place. It's like, the issue is, in previous tiers, when a guild died, there were enough other guilds with top-tier talent to sort of fill in the gaps and pick up where the slack was left off. And, like, it's going to be harder for that to happen because it's not just one guild that's leaving. It's not just, oh, like, I'm leaving, like, this certain class is now worse off. Like, no, like, most of the good players, and I don't mean good players like there are no good players that aren't leaving, but, like, most of the top-tier players that are, like, where they're all clumped together, they're all leaving. Like, they're not going to be playing. Like, you're seeing max exoduses of the Nightmare rating population, which is tiny, by the way. We, in the grand scheme, like, I want people in Twitch chat to understand this, and this is, like, rude to our community. We do not matter in the grand scheme, and it's okay because we clearly do not make BioWare enough money past just individual.
Let me challenge you on that.
Hold on. No. I understand. Trust me. I've spent a lot of money on this game. I know that people that play hardcore or play constantly do spend money, but in the grand scheme, as a macro, we don't make them that much money. In the micro, I'm sure we do. Like, I've spent like probably 1,700 on this game, maybe like 2,000. Like,
but yeah, like Devasta, you, Dom, they spent a lot of money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely more per capita, and if you're not retaining these highly engaged players, it's not good for your game, and that's why BioWare should be concerned on a bottom line level. Also, let me give this whole discussion some context. When Death and Taxes quit in WoW, the entire guild didn't quit the game. In fact, a great many of them just re-rolled a different faction on a different server. That's not what's happening this time. People are just quitting the game en masse and not picking it back up. Like, I don't know. How many can you count? On how many fingers can you count the number of people in Zorz who are staying in the game?
1 second. I
You
think it's
could
5 though.
Yeah, I think it's literally one hand out of
One
like
hand.
21 out of like 21 raiders.
For
and-
people that posted, at least, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the only people, but everyone posted. Like the people that are left, it's like Seven's still there. Flight's playing casual. Tef's gonna like do PvP, and then there's like a couple of people that are taking break until the next content, but are still technically installed. Almost everyone else is either done with the game until something wildly good happens, or they're just done. Period. Like I don't know. Whenever guilds would die in Star Wars, in previous tiers, like I can give so many examples. Most of their players went to different guilds. Like when Carnage Gaming died, the good players went to Severity. When Suckfish died, the remaining players went to Intrepid. Like most of these like situations where guilds die, most of the players just migrate, and it's not a big deal. It's just like, oh well, that kind of sucks, but it's whatever because next year we've got guilds with different names, and that's always interesting. But like this isn't like Hatred died and some people went to Concept, some people went to Midian, some people went to Zorz. This is like these people just are uninstalling and they're done with the game.
Hatred died.
This isn't like
Yeah, I don't know what that guild is.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Just looking from like Nightmare EC, like there was. I was looking at that the other day. There was like 50 guilds that had posted. Scum Villainy, there was like 20 that posted. DP, there was like 15 that posted. And then my thread, there was actually quite a bit that posted, but most of them were 8 out of 10, or not 10 out of 10. I think there was final count pre-nerf Revan, or pre-change Revan, we'll call it, was 16 to 17 over 6 months, which is fine. But like participation-wise, it's yeah, for Nightmare, I guess not hard mode tier. It's gone down and down and down, and the game doesn't really attract raiders, so to speak. I think games that attract raiders are WoW and or WildStar. So,
Well,
I'm not exactly
not
sure.
WildStar anymore.
Not anymore, but I think if WildStar release the version it is now, like this month, it did really well. But the game that released was WildStar was really bad, and like 40 man is dumb. So
Yeah. And, I mean, I should clarify, I'm not sure if we in Death and Taxes are done. I'm willing to log in, like, once a week and do the farm, just to spend the time and, you know, keep playing the game. But even this week, it was almost more trouble than it was worth, and we're only 1 week in to the monolith being released. And my SWTOR subscription expires in August, and I don't know if we're going to be able to limp along for that long without any news.
I think that if you get news, it's not going to be something that matters to you before August.
You think? Like,
I don't think. Okay, so
that's 9 months since the
Let's-
last time. Okay, look. That's 9 months since the last time they specifically addressed the community of which I'm a part. Like the hardcore players. You think nothing happens between now and August for me?
well,
Go ahead.
no, I don't. So this is what I think. Okay, so like we're on an 11-week content cycle, right? And end of April is 3.2. 3.3 happens like in the middle of the summer. You're not. I'm just gonna go out on a limb.
Wait.
I'm
Hold on. I want to address something in the chat. This game isn't for endgame players. No one cares if 20 operations players leave. This is a theme park MMO. The only part of the game that really matters at the end is the end game. The story, people will consume, and then they'll quit. You're trying to make a recurring... You're trying to make people keep giving you money. And endgame is how you do that. Right. Sorry, I had to address that. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. So you have the 11-week cycle. So in the middle of the summer, 3.3 happens. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I'm 100% certain there's no Nightmare in 3.3. All right. So that you're already into like June, July with no Nightmare, and you have nothing. At earliest, new raid comes in October. Like I don't see there being a new raid before October. So like let's say at earliest, that's past your sub date. Like what? If you get to August, no, let's say that at Fallen Empire, they're like, all right, we're gonna have this like mini expansion, blah 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 blah, new raid towards the end of the year in like October and November. Like you have that information before August. Is there gonna be a point to subbing for you, like when you have nothing until then that matters to you? Like,
I mean,
is that
I have
really,
not logged
like,
in since Tuesday, and I felt no desire to.
yeah? So it's like if that's the information you get by the time that your sub runs out, do you feel a need to stay subbed? Because I wouldn't.
Well, here's my next question. You were saying that if they announce something by August, do you mean content drop or just announcement?
I want, like... It would have to be at least a little detailed, and I have to know what's coming.
Well, define a little detailed. Are we talking about a
I
little
wanna
pick of
know-
Revan that we already know came out? Like the
No.
teaser for Shadow Revan?
No, not that. Jesus. No, they would have to do a better job than they did last year, let's say. I would have to know when a new tier is coming, or when new actual gameplay enhancements that I give a shit about are coming. Because that's where my focus is. But yeah, if this focus on story continues, like if Fallen Empire is another story expansion, like 3.2, that doesn't really have any repeatable content in Endgame, that might, precipitate my dropping out of the community.
What if Fallen Empire is what was it called? Forge Alliances? What if that is what
That would be
Fallen Empire
pretty.
is?
That would be pretty bad.
Pretty bad?
Flashpoints are technically repeatable endgame content, but they're repeatable endgame content that nobody does. I mean, for a whole host of reasons, nobody does flashpoints. Not least of which, and it's a self-sustaining problem. Nobody does flashpoints because nobody does flashpoints, so you can't get a group. Also, the rewards aren't worth it.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
So someone in chat basically said, so how's about you make it a little more exciting for yourself and pick some homeless person off fleet and take them for free through ops? Oh, never mind.
Why are
You're
you
not in
addressing
there to help
this?
people.
It's absurd.
No. I feel like addressing it. So just to let him know, Zorz wrote the Dolphy guides on the operations to help people. Zorz also made multiple videos from every single perspective, DPS, heal, and tank, for every single fight.
I have a
In
better
addition,
example.
D&T has also made videos of their fights early, and were one of the only guilds that was streaming Revan at the time when people were trying to figure out the fight. And to say that, like, they don't care about helping the community is asinine.
Wait, but Justin, what about
Hold
the
on.
class guides?
No. I have a better example. Justin was a homeless person, a casual, just somebody in the chat.
Yes.
And he became a figure of the community after, like, we picked him up and we really needed people on council. We're like, okay, CAC and Tenorus said he was good in, like, a flashpoint or whatever. Let's give him a shot.
Yeah, Flashpoint, Justin.
I don't know what you were doing. You did some kind of group content with them.
I did like story mode. I was literally the equivalent of a homeless person off the street in this narrative. Like, that's how that works. Also, and the last thing I'll say about this, wasn't Zorz paid to write guides, such community. Just to let people know, everyone gets paid to write their guides, and when you say, oh, well, Tor community is doing it for free, yeah, they did a Kickstarter and raised $8,000. Like, literally nobody in
Well,
this,
more
like,
than that.
quote-unquote, well, I'm giving, like, an average number, like, of course it's more than that. But, like, people aren't doing this crap for free. Like, that's not how this is working. You say, oh, well, we can put it on the forums. Like, people already put their stuff on the forums, but, like, most of the guides put on official sites, there's at some level revenue one way or the other, whether it's direct to the people's hands or through page views or through Kickstarters. People are making money. So, like, I don't understand, like, you can make money and help the community at the same time, and, like, because the people in the community that need the help, they're not being charged by people that are making the guides. The people being paid who wrote the guides were paid by the person running the site, not by the people trying to get to the content.
Yeah, and I don't actually know why you're feeling defensive about this. That's a nonsense argument.
the guide idea started during the PTS, and like because we knew it was going to be more challenging, and like we wanted to help out. Like it originally started with our own project. We reached out to the TOR community. We had disagreements there, and some stuff that happened. Dolphy reached out to us and offered us compensation, and so we just put them on her website. Like even without Dolphy, there still would have been Zorz guides. It just would have been on our webpage. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's what
Really?
people don't know. Like,
Don't personally care, so to speak. I mean, and for the amount we got paid, like that wasn't the sole purpose of the Dolphy guides was to get paid. Like, and then at first I didn't even want to do the tank guide or the Madness Sword, mainly the Madness Sword guide because I wasn't personally playing in this expansion, and there's probably better
There's
people
also no
suited.
reason to play it in this expansion.
Yes, that too.
No, look. We got down the rabbit hole with this guy. You got sucker, Justin?
Yeah, I'm done with the rabbit hole now. That's fine.
Alright. So BioWare was really doubling down on story. And I remember a couple shows ago I mentioned how that made me nervous. So, what do you think this means long term? Because this is, we're seeing the beginning of this. We're seeing the beginning of this with 3.2. Their focus on story.
I think BioWare knows where they're going with the game. They're just being quiet about it, and I think the game will be its own little thing in the MMO community. I don't think it'll have much end game, so to speak. But it's not going to die or anything. Most of the people who play Star Wars play it for it because, one, it's Star Wars. Two, they have to play online with people and interact with people. You know, story modes to most people are really fun and entertaining to do. So, I guess that's that.
this is the one thing they were actually vocal about, though. They said they wanted to focus on story content. They've actually said it multiple times.
Yes.
So what they're doing is they're saying, hey, we're doing story content. They're putting that out. And when we're not getting story content, people are pissed, and rightfully so. But like, in this regard, they're saying what they're putting out. That's really it, though.
So, you guys do not think it's a problem for them? You don't think this is going to come back and bite them?
I do.
Okay, I think it'll bite them, but I think they'll be fine in enough other areas to where the game will keep turning. Like, the trolls in
Really?
chat are not incorrect. Like, I don't think this is the end of the game. I think they'll still be able to make money. I just think that they're going to lose us as a demographic, and that at the
that's
end of the
bad.
day, no, that's bad. Like, hypothetically, but
Not even hypothetically. I
No,
submit
like,
it's objectively bad.
But see, here's the thing. I think that the more casual that they take this game, the less like money they're going to put into operations and end-game content in general. And if that's the case, and their budget goes down because they're not actually making content, I submit that like losing us as a demographic probably evens out the revenue they would lose from us not being in the game anymore.
That doesn't
Like,
make any sense.
How does it not make sense? Like, I don't think
Losing
that we're
us
that big
as
of
a
a community.
demographic evens
Like,
out the
losing the-
money.
No.
Say
I'm
that
saying
again.
no. I'm saying if they're not like if the more casual they make this, aka less raid content, easier raid content, it will not take them as much time. They won't be at a pace where they're feeling like they need to consistently make content because like the community of raiders is basically eroding. And that look, I'm gonna go on a limb and say that I don't think that the raiding community matters as much as it would like to matter. Like we matter in the meta, but like from a money standpoint, I don't. As someone who spent a lot of money on this game, I don't think we matter that much from a money standpoint. And if there isn't a raiding community to have to put out raids all the time, they can put out simple tactical flashpoints, and they can have a staff that's nice and small that doesn't have to overwork itself and be at the edge of whatever for the staff that they have on content. And like whatever population they lose from our side of the community, like it kind of evens out because they're not having to make content for us anymore. I think
rather
the
than
game
getting to
itself is gonna
relax,
be fine.
it's much more likely that they get let go.
Yeah, but for the game itself, that's still them spending less money. And it's like they will like people have said and like they have said, they're going to double down on story. Now, here's the only real question. Are they going to actually double down on story and give people meaningful story that matters, or will they just do Forged Alliance story? Because that's not good enough. And if that's what they're doing, then they're not going to even make the casuals happy.
Wasn't there a Twitter post of them doing like voice acting for companions and stuff like that?
Yes,
So
I saw the woman who does Kaleo. She tweeted something about it.
So I feel like they're doing something, but who knows on the horizon that'll be if they're just doing the voice acting.
That, I mean, until we know anything, it's not, I don't know, it's not meaningful.
Agreed.
And yeah, you don't know how many lines she did, you don't know how long she was working, so it's speculation at this point. So I disagree. I actually think losing us and more players like us would hurt them more than it helps them, even if they can save money by not investing as much in in-game. Because people aren't gonna... You can experience all this story stuff for no money. What incentivizes a casual player to subscribe? Because none of the stuff that they want to do, none of the story stuff is behind a paywall, except for the expansions, and those are one-time payments.
I honestly think that they might be... I'm not saying this like I have any like knowledge or like this. I don't know if this is tinfoil hatish, but I think maybe they might just be like de-emphasizing the subscription in general, like going the Lord of the Rings online route where they really don't care, and if you want to buy stuff, you can buy stuff in chunks, like the little expansions.
I think
you buy
they
that,
care.
and you can play that.
I think they care if you give them money.
But like, I think that they can make money without you subscribing with the cartel market.
The other thing is, doesn't Lord of the Rings, aren't those expansions a la carte? You don't have to do them in order?
Yes.
I don't think you can
I'm
do
not
that
saying
with
they're
this
going
game.
to. I'm not saying they're going to do exactly that. I'm just saying that they're going. I don't see them emphasizing a sub like yeah. Oh well, 12 XP is a sub perk. It's like yeah, but like that's great, but
That just gets
again,
you to the
like,
end game faster, which you get
Yes,
there, and
and-
then what?
yeah, exactly.
Again, working at cross purposes if you're not going to emphasize your end game. Okay, is there anything... If their focus shifts, or let's say they are more vocal about their non-story, the stuff they're working on that isn't story, is there anything they can do to get players like us back? Or make us
Personally,
more
no.
excited?
Like, so I can't go into what if mode and imagine that these people are different people.
No.
Like, they're nice people. I've even enjoyed my interactions with them, especially the ops people when the few chances I've had to like message them about something. I think that we had the most interaction we've ever had with them this tier. I don't think that happens again. We've had like the most challenging content
Why?
this tier. I don't think that happens again. Oh, for reasons that will be like made more clear later when we bring up other topics. Like, I do not think we're going to have like okay. I don't play the game anymore. I don't care. These are my views. These are not views of ROM. I was in 3.0 beta. The communication by the devs was exponentially better than on live. Like, they responded to posts almost every single day, multiple times a day in different threads.
And weekends.
Yes, the ops devs like responded to almost everything. The first day of PTS, when we killed a boss that like felt stupidly undertuned, like I gave feedback, and I had a response by a dev within 20 minutes asking for logs. Like, every single time we had feedback, we got a response. It was fantastic. Did we always get what we wanted? No. Were we, like, for instance, people would get upset on live saying, oh, this is broken. This needed to be tested. And it's like, no, they knew. Like, they tried. Like, they did a lot of communication. Like, I feel really positively about how they acted during the 3.0. I don't think we get that again.
Why?
Because of Musco talking about the Marauder thing, the alternative is that we just don't communicate. Like, I honestly think that they're going to be even more close to the best now because of the John Jaranowski situation. Because this is like a worse version of Heal to Full because it actually affects them this time instead of just like people being mad at each other and people being mad in general. Like, some idiots in the community lashed out against a developer, and I think they're going to be trigger shy again, and I don't think that we're going to get meaningful interaction again like that. And it's sad, like it's unfortunate, but I don't think we're going to get that again, and I already know we're not going to get the hard content like that again. So it's hard for me to imagine a reason to like really play the game again. There's nothing wrong with it. Like leveling was awesome. Like I'll always have a nostalgia for the game, but I can't imagine a reason to come back.
I can imagine it quite a bit, but they would have to. There are gameplay changes that must happen.
But like even like let's say they make the gameplay changes. Let's say they make the engine tooling where you can actually believe where you're standing in a raid. Let's say that they give you offensive dispel. Let's say that they give you interesting mechanics. Yeah, that's cool, but like I don't think they're going to make difficult bosses. I don't think that they're going to give us content at a.
I think they totally.
I don't think that. No, I don't think they will. It's not that they can't. I don't think they will. Like the hardware experiment is a failure, and like I do not.
Well, look, we're in super speculation mode where they could do.
Yeah.
Where they.
I'm not.
Like,
no, but my speculation has to be.
I'm asking what could they do to get you back, not what do you think they will do.
This is gonna sound rude because again, I like the developers. What could they do? They would have to be different people. Like, and by different people, I don't mean like different individuals. I don't mean like John can't be John or like George can't be George. I mean like. BioWare Austin can't make this game for me to want to come back.
Doesn't make any sense.
Like as an MMO. Like are you Blizzard? Like are you because like I always got annoyed when I was playing Star Wars all the time, and I was really happy for like 3 years. And anytime someone was like, "Oh, you're playing the wrong MMO," I got really annoyed because it just seemed so dismissive. No, not when people say it. Like I'm talking when I was even casual, like people would say it. And I would get annoyed because I'm like, no, I enjoy this game. This is fun. I can't imagine. Like, okay, I went to WoW, and every time I play WoW, I get upset. And it's not like I get upset because I don't enjoy WoW. It's like I get upset because it's like I feel like I've been hoodwinked. Everything that I enjoy about Star Wars, outside of the story, everything I enjoy about Star Wars is better in WoW. No. Literally everything I enjoy.
Yes,
I don't enjoy.
Yes.
Like, I don't enjoy questing, so the fact that questing is better in Star Wars doesn't really matter to me. I enjoy raiding, and I enjoy combat, and both are far better in WoW.
I went from WoW to SWTOR in 2011, and granted, that was like a 5 or 6 month gap. I still managed to enjoy SWTOR. I mean,
So
it was different enough, and it was fresh enough to get and keep my interest. Go ahead.
Is like the same thing. I had the arguments with Trill. I had the arguments with everyone in Zorz. It's like you're, I guess, top dogs in Star Wars. Like content, you run through content like it's easy. If you were in the same position in WildStar or WoW, you feel the same way. I don't think Paragon or Method are having fun with WoW right now, even though they have the new PTS raids. I think MMOs are becoming a thing of the past for people that like to raid and do in-game content, so to speak. I think most people are moving to MOBAs and or other games like that have lasting value because it's PvP or other stuff like that. I think when people think of like MMOs, they think of like old school WoW, where I don't know. Can't really say I didn't really play old school WoW, but I think the more playtime you play, the more you burn through content, and I don't think any dev company can, in terms of MMOs, can like keep up with the player base, like a hardcore audience, so to speak. Keep them happy.
I don't think anybody expects them to. The other thing is, like, yeah, that's a common thing to say about MMOs. They are shrinking. They are a shrinking market. But that doesn't mean they're going away. There will still be, at very least, there will still be WoW. Hell, Ultimate Online is still on. Now they've got like a, 0.7% market share or something, but they're still online because it's, well, that one's a sandbox. Sandboxes probably won't go anywhere. Theme parks, it's going to be WoW and maybe a couple others eventually.
Yep.
Looking at metrics, I don't, like, outside of WoW, and this isn't like because, I'm playing it so I have like a honeymoon, it's like they have enough numbers to where I can say this. I don't understand why theme parks still exist. Like, looking at it, like it doesn't seem to be a model that can be supported outside of like one game. Like,
they totally
theme park
can.
MMOs, like, but like we say
But
they can.
okay,
but, like,
okay.
What? No. I mean,
there
like,
are other theme park MMOs besides SWTOR, and SWTOR itself is successful as one. But there are other ones.
I'm talking
and
new
besides
games.
SWTOR and
new games.
new games, whatever.
New games.
I already thought WildStar was a shitty idea, and then it came out when it did at a bad time. And same thing with USO.
I mean, I don't mean that there aren't current games that are theme parks that can be successful. I mean, like, I cannot picture another MMO coming out that is a theme park as a new game.
No, you should not.
That
You should not be trying to enter this
probably
market.
never happen again.
No.
That should probably never happen again.
I don't know about never, but unless your idea is really good and you're doing things really well and you've got all your ducks in a row, then no. You probably shouldn't enter the market. It's a tough crowd out there. Just ask ESO and ask WildStar. Okay, back to what I'm talking about with their focus on story. The point I wanted to make is that, BioWare can say that solo and leveling content is important, and it is. In my opinion, it's done best when it's quick and painless, but also teaches you how to play your class. But in my opinion, the Iron Clan rule is theme park MMOs must have a robust endgame that receives the majority of developer attention between expansions. And Ziost is not endgame content, despite where it falls in the story. And I like the story, but my interest in the game lies heavily in gameplay, and Ziost provides nothing in that respect for me. People are mentioning a lot of Final Fantasy, and it is doing really well. It's not just doing well in Asia, it is also doing well in the West.
Yes.
Even though I don't think I could play that game for other gameplay reasons, like 2-second GCD.
Isn't it more than that?
It's 2.5. It's
Yeah.
every GCD is like the length of a clipped ravage, basically.
It
If you think
it is
getting out
literally
of
Shadow Bolt
bad
cast
stuff
time.
in Star Wars is bad in Star Wars, if you go play Final Fantasy and come back in a week and
Is
play
it
yourself.
a lot of desyncs?
You have to be out of it before it's even casted, and I cast like most. So like,
Okay. Any other comments on their focus, what they could do, their development strategy for this year? No, yes.
I mean, this isn't really what I want, but this is just, if they're going down this route, this is what in order for them to go down this route correctly and successfully, if they're going to focus more on story and not on operations or, let's be real, PvP, which they already haven't really been focusing on, then they actually need to do real story, like not forged alliances, not Ziost, like actually like a chapter with a meaningful multi-quest like storyline. Like if they're actually going to go down the story route, that's what needs to be done. Whether or not they can with like the money they have or with the devs they have is, I don't know the answer to that. But if they're going to go down the storyline path and try and focus on that part of the game, I'm all for it because people do enjoy the story in this game.
You're actually making Treebo's point. Treebo, I'm going to quote some of what he wrote on our forums. Said it depends on how they do it. Planets like Ziost don't offer a lot of story, honestly. Even for casual, it's maybe an hour or two of story content. If they continue with the one storyline that plays the same for both factions, it's going to hurt them. If they move back to 2 faction stories, it might not be so bad. If they actually went back to full-on class stories, it could honestly help them. It takes a casual player a long time to get through 8 class stories. My counter to that is it takes an absurd amount of effort for them to do that. And if they're just going to do that, why are they making an MMO?
Wouldn't it take longer to release content if they did that anyway?
Yes.
So they would extend their content cycles even further than it's been extended already, which
yeah.
it's it's a
If they let's be real. If they did the storyline thing that I'm talking about, which I'm not advocating for, but if they want to double down on story, when we talk about the content cycle, under this, if you're actually doing the content cycle correctly with storyline, if you're doubling down on story for real, raids don't fucking matter. Like, I'm not saying they don't matter. I'm saying, like, if you're actually going like hard to the paint for the storyline, then how long it takes for your next raid doesn't matter to you because you're trying to get the people who care about the storyline as much good content as possible. I'm saying, like, if they actually want to do the let's focus on storyline and de-emphasize raids, cool, but please do it correctly. Don't de-emphasize raids and then give people forged alliances 3 times a year.
You know what they're
because
doing?
that's literally the saddest thing, if that's what's happening.
I mean, what Treebo's proposing is they just make 8 single-player RPGs constantly.
Yeah.
So we're not
Yes.
playing an MMO anymore.
Exactly.
We're already.
Well, I mean, we're already not. I
You're
understand
you're already barely playing an MMO. Like,
Well, no, you need other people to go in and do the monolith. Come on.
but
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, if they could like let's say. Like, let's not even say that it has to be like an ambitious level of content. I'm not saying like you need a new chapter of all 8 classes by, let's say what, every 4 months. I don't mean that. I mean like let's say every 3 months you have two quest chains that are new, that are just faction, one pub, and then once a year you get like a chapter or something. And it doesn't have to be like a full chapter, like chapter 1, how expansive that is. It could be like chapter 3, where there's not super lengthy, but like it is furthering the story. It's moving along the plot. Like you could do that. People would be happy. Like the people that enjoy story would legitimately enjoy that, and I don't think that would strain them beyond the ability to do anything.
I think it would. I think doing the story content is more taxing to them than people realize.
But see, here's the thing: if that's the case, and they are doubling down on story, then hire more people.
I mean, how do you know it's a manpower thing? Also, like,
We don't know anything.
yeah, we don't know anything.
Well, no,
That's the
you're
problem.
saying like how taxing it is for them. Like if it's like,
I mean, even it doesn't matter. Like, that's like a writing thing. That's like telling George R. R. Martin to write faster.
He should.
no, but
Hire
you could,
somebody
like,
else
as
to
a
help them
writing
write.
thing. Well,
That'd
no,
be
as
stupid.
a writing thing, like they had multiple writers for class stories in SWTOR. Like
Yeah.
you don't just have one writer. Is my point.
They also did it over the course of many, many years before the game's launch. I don't think they have that kind of time if their development cycle is gonna turn into making class stories and that's it.
I don't think that making the stories took multiple years and that was it. It was like every part of the game took multiple
Well, I
years.
don't know about that's definitely part of it.
Multiple years. Like it's not like the stories don't. Like the writers they had working on that like churn out Star Wars novels like in a set amount of time. We're talking hundreds of pages
Novels
for.
and mech games, though.
No. You're talking about the story though. I'm talking about just the story. The story doesn't take that long to write. Like, it just doesn't. The game takes longer to develop the story content. But if we're talking just the writing part, because you mentioned that, like the writing doesn't take that long. Probably takes longer to get approved by BioWare or by Lucasfilm than anything
That's
else.
part of the process.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more that goes into it than we know about, is what I'm getting at. Like a lot more.
I can agree with that.
Okay. I wanted to hit on the developer harassment thing, and you touched on it earlier. It's pretty shitty. People are pretty shitty. It's unfortunately not all that unusual. I've heard of other games having had this issue, including WoW, where people are harassed in real life, or are sent things to their inboxes and like their family members. I wanted to ask, has anybody ever heard of this progressing beyond chicken shit harassment into actual physical danger?
Yep.
Like, in what? Where did that happen?
Mainly like huge ass trolls and like other video games I used to play. Enjoyed it, and I'm sure that's what these people do. They just enjoy doing shit like this, and it's
like actually-
going to someone's
I
house
mean
and
going to
taking them
some-
outside and beating them with a stick.
oh
Yeah,
them like the actual people.
physical
No.
danger.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah,
I think most people that are doing the threats
Like swatting and shit.
are
But, like
most people doing threats. What?
they have issues going on in their real life, or they just have a life and they're mostly just internet trolls. Like,
Yeah,
I think it's
mean,
internet trolls.
and it's
I think if you get that mad over a video game, not going to do anything.
easy for me to say. I don't think I would feel threatened, but I haven't been threatened yet, so I don't know. But I can't. I would be extremely annoyed if people track down my family members to comment to them about what a shitty job I'm doing.
So, I have a few thoughts on this, and like, Like, obviously, you shouldn't threaten developers or people that play this game or people in general. Like, it's really not that serious. Like, it's really messed up to like go and try and hunt down people's family members and try and screw with them and like, because at the end of the day, like that really, like, it's just really messed up. But it's hard for me to look at this and see how Muska responded and not think of how many people in SWTOR have been harassed, and BioWare does nothing to the harassers. I'm aware of people on the Bastion, and this is not like an isolated thing. This is something that's like oddly in the culture of the Bastion, especially in PvP, where people will like they will DDoS people, they will dox them, they will post their news in public areas, they will post their public information, including their home address, in general chat. These people get reported. Sometimes these people have restraining orders in real life, and they're not banned from the game or disciplined past a 24-hour. Like, this stuff happens.
I mean,
and BioWare has a terrible track. I mean this. This
look,
happens. No, this happens beyond just a couple times. It happens a lot. BioWare has a terrible track record when it comes to responding to this kind of harassment, and they do not deserve it. No one in BioWare deserves this. But it doesn't surprise me that it has happened to a dev because it happens to other players from other people in the community.
I said it's not unusual. This kind of thing happens because people are assholes.
Yeah. But
I mean, look, whether that happens on the Bastion or not, I can't comment on. Like, unless you showed me a whole lot of proof that I don't really care to see.
I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to, but I don't know. I feel like I'd feel awkward. It would feel wrong showing proof because like they already don't want that stuff existing, and that's just like sort of furthering the cycle. But no, like the other thing that sort of got me irked is with the whole thing, because it's like, look, and YOLO can attest to this. Like, none of the people like who played Marauder like last year enjoyed the changes. Like, there at no point were we like, this is great. No one likes it. Blah blah blah. Whatever. We don't want the guy to like have his family get hunted down and like ruin their days. We don't want to like mess with this guy's livelihood or whatever. Like, we just don't like the changes he made. And what I don't like is I understand that Musco had to say something. Like, you have to protect your own. So I get it, and like it's his job to literally do that. But the whole like the alternative is that we say nothing thing, it's like, no offense, but these posts that they've been making, and it's not just in the Marauder thread, they don't say a lot. They're literally like people are saying, oh well it's not actually, well no, but they're not, they don't say much. They like most of their posts don't actually say much. It's like the whole like, oh, it's not telling you to learn to play. He's giving people a hint, saying that force melt's more important. Most of the people complaining were delaying force melt. And I was like, no, they weren't. Like even like so look, the people who couldn't do the rotation were saying, I can't do this ability. I have to delay it because it's so rage starved. And he's saying like, hint, hint, don't delay this ability. Delay something else. It's like, no, you don't understand. The people who have theory crafted the rotations and know exactly how to do it effectively, the way that the devs even intended to be done, they're saying it's broken. You're responding to the wrong criticism. And every single change that they have made has made it clunkier and worse than what happened on the live launch of this rotation, and no one liked it then.
Look,
like
I don't know what this has to do with the.
No, I'm trying to get to it. What I'm saying is like, there's this like sort of weird thing where Musco's like, look, we're giving you information, and just because you don't like it, like, this is the information. It's like, no, but you're not giving us any information we care about. I'm not asking for them to, like, give us information that's like, this is the date you get the old version of Annihilation back. It's like, we still do not actually fully understand via communication why it is that they are so obsessed with Force Rend as an ability. We're still not sure why it is that they decide that they want to contradict their own statements almost every update. We don't know.
With Force Rend?
Yes, no, but literally
obsessed with Scorch or Vengeful Slam or.
Yep. Are people in those classes hating those abilities like people are hating Force Rend? I can name almost no. Hold on, hold on. Let me finish. No. I can't stop. This is like This is just so stupid to me. There's not a single Marauder in the threads that I've seen that's like, yeah, Force Rend's amazing, we can just fix it around this. I'm not kidding, there are hundreds of posts that are just like, we don't understand why this is a thing. Can you please explain to us like why this needs to be the playstyle? What didn't you like about the old playstyle? There are people that have made honestly, very respectful posts in that regard. And those questions haven't been answered.
I'm going to tell you why. And you're not going to like it. You should not get your old playstyle back. Because that's bad for the game. You know who still has their old playstyle? Snipers. You notice what class I'm not playing anymore?
But you're one of the few people that doesn't like snipers anymore.
I mean,
but
one of the few people in our very small insular community. It's a very small sample size.
I mean,
most
of the feedback I have seen on the other
MMOs
classes
should have constant iteration on what their classes do. You should not have your old rotation back. Yes, tell Dari, yes, there must be change. Especially
can I
when
interject?
expansions
there
happen.
should be. No, there should be change. I'm not saying there shouldn't be change. I'm saying literally nobody likes Force Rend, and people are asking what it is they're so into that they want it. Like, what is their philosophy behind Force Rend? Behind it's a hard-hitting, long-duration dot. Nobody likes it, and it breaks up the rotation.
Now, I'm not defending,
I'm not
defending the ability itself, and I don't play the class, so whatever. But you specifically referenced that an ideal scenario would be you get your old rotation back, and no, that's not an ideal scenario. That's actually shitty.
No, we can easily have a different rotation and still have Annihilate have interplay with Rupture. I don't care about the rotation being the same. I don't even care if the priority is the same. But nobody likes this playstyle, and nobody really understands where the devs are coming from when it comes to this playstyle.
It's been that way. Let's see, Pyro PT got butchered, Lightning Sword got butchered, Madness has been trash since the Giants won the World Series, and Rob got really mad at me. What else is there? There's plenty of classes that just people don't enjoy anymore. They just go play something else until it's fixed, or I don't know.
Of course, I did play. Well, no, I did play something else until it's fixed. I'm not against the idea of re-rolling because the class you played isn't fun anymore.
Let me answer.
I'm just saying I understand where that is. I'm just saying when people who do still play the class, not me because I don't play the class anymore, when they're asking legitimately decent questions that are not argumentative or trolly, when most of the community wants to know these things and they aren't given an answer, let's not pretend that they're being communicated with effectively.
Well, that's not transparency, but the whole thing, by its Bioware's game, they're going to design it how they want to design it. If you disagree, but you can't change it.
Well, no, of course, but we're not getting transparency around the specs. That's the thing.
Oh yeah, we're not being. Are going to. That's why I think Bioware lacks in that department. They don't know how to communicate efficiently. But I don't know.
Let me answer a question in the chat. Galen asks why change something that doesn't need changing. It's because in an MMO, gameplay should be constantly changing to keep it fun. It is exactly why I stopped playing Sniper, that it didn't get changed.
I have to disagree a hair, but, I mean...
It is, okay, well, you're about to jump into a game where this is going to happen all the time. Every expansion, your class will change tremendously.
I disagree in the respect that Sniper wasn't changed.
It was not really changed that much. It really wasn't.
Changed a little bit, but
engineering changed a lot, but it's still a gimmick spec that has no practical usefulness. So who cares?
Yeah. Well, especially now. Did they do the Scatterbomb nerf yet?
I don't know. I don't care.
Because if they did that, then it's even worse.
Yeah. Ask Turtle what he thinks about Warlocks in WoW.
God awful.
I mean, they are nothing like they used to play, even in Cataclysm, which was only 2 expansions ago. Nothing.
Yeah, but see, there's this difference between WoW and Star Wars, and we're not even going to talk about quality of the game. We're going to be real simple here. How many people balance combat in Star Wars? And when we're talking about let's change,
we actually don't know.
From best understandings of who makes posts about class changes, there's 2 or 3 that do it as a main thing. And maybe I'm sure other people flex over when they're working on other content, but that's 2 or 3. Like, I understand
I mean-
that gameplay needs to change. Hold on, I understand that gameplay needs to change. I do understand that. I understand that it should happen and be evolving like a fairly constant pace. The problem is, they already can't balance their fucking content now. How are they going to balance it when they're constantly changing the gameplay? Like, they can't get close to balancing it. Even when people are literally doing the work for them and theory crafting, like, what the problems are. They
But
literally cannot
why
change it.
can't they balance it?
I don't know why.
No.
But they already...
In what aspect of the game are you saying they can't balance it? Which one?
PvP, like they can't do anything. Like sins were stupidly overpowered, and the way they nerfed it did not affect the way they were overpowered. Like IO nerfs, IO mercs were like
that is what
mercs were nerfed, and yet they are still like strong as all hell, and it doesn't make sense. Like what is the point of them nerfing them by like 200 to 300 when they still outparse everyone else? It doesn't change the meta at all. Like, what is the point of nerfing a class that can barely full clear content, like at their own level, saying, "Oh well, they're too strong in this regard. Let's nerf them to the ground and make them more relevant." They do not know how to balance in this game.
I don't think any game ever has like complete 100% balance. Like,
I don't mean
There's
100% balance. I mean
10
like
to 20
they
champions
can't.
are viable.
I mean like they
Dota's
can't balance
actually way
like
more
much
than
of
that.
anything.
Another reason Dota's
Like they-
better. But
They're not capable of balancing in general. Like, it's not like they need to have everything balanced. Like,
Would you accept a 300 gap DPS wise, healing wise, would be balanced?
yes.
300.
I think they could.
No.
I think they could do that.
I think that's
but
was that like what the majority is anyway? I mean, there's always be some classes that are like
no,
it's
IO
not.
Juggernauts
was
are pretty garbage.
Well, they changed IO, and IO is like to
IO.
where other high classes are. I think
Isn't
how
it
long
still
did it-
5K?
did-
it's,
IO
yeah,
is
it's like 5-2,
still, I think,
Way more.
Fascinating
52,
5-2, and the lowest one, and I want to say Manusark is like, I think it's all 4,700, so that's a 500 gap. And that just got changed. And it's not that Madness got buffed or anything like that. It's just
Anyway,
IO got
Justin,
nerfed.
your objections. When the gameplay should be changed at expansions. Between expansions is when you try to get everything right. That's what your balance patches are for.
Yes, but like, what balance changes have they made that have been right since this
Oh,
expansion came out?
I'm not defending their track record. I'm saying conceptually.
Well, yeah, conceptually.
But
I
you're
agree with
arguing.
you, but, like,
you're arguing that they just shouldn't make big sweeping gameplay changes to their classes because they can't balance them afterward. I don't think so.
No.
I'd rather the game. Okay, first
No, I'm
priority
saying
is playing the game
conceptually-
fun. Second priority, balance.
well, yeah. The only problem is like they failed on the first priority.
Yeah, a lot of specs are fun. Vengeance is fun. Pyro was fun until they butchered it.
There are a few specs that people are like legitimately enjoying, but I don't know that many people that are sitting here saying that a lot of specs are more fun than pre 3.0.
I think
And I'm not
Vengeance
even
is-
talking.
Vengeance and
I'm not,
Pyro
I
are
said
absolutely more
not
fun than
many,
3.0.
not many. You're talking 2 out of how many? Because let's see, almost everyone I've talked to, and again, this is not the majority. This is
Concealment's
absolutely
more
a
fun
small
just
space.
because of the better healing you have.
There are a lot of people that disagree with that concealment argument. A lot of the people that actually played operative don't think it's as fun. They think it's more fun than other classes they rolled out of, but I don't know a whole lot of people thinking that it's more fun in 3.0. In fact, most of the people that I've talked to, and YOLO, you could back me up on this, it's some level of, I don't know of that many specs that I like more in 3.0 than before.
Oh,
Like-
I said the same exact thing. I said, I enjoyed a lot more specs in pre 3.0 than 3.0. But that's fine. That's classes change. It's whatever. But
Yeah, it's just I wouldn't say that they've got it down pat on fun. Like,
I mean, there are specs that are fun, but there was more. I
Absolutely.
enjoyed more.
I mean,
specs
this is a criticism
before
I
3.0.
made before and during 3.0's launch. That's a criticism I had, was that they didn't change them enough to keep them fun for the most part. There were a few ones that were fun anyway, and were largely fun for me because I hadn't just spent a couple of years playing them, such as Vengeance, such as Pyro. So I'm not defending the results. I'm talking concepts here, and there is no way in hell I would support the position that they shouldn't make class gameplay changes because they can't balance.
I am more saying that conceptually I agree with you, but I do not trust BioWare to be able to follow through successfully on that concept, is what I'm saying. I'm basically saying I just don't really have much faith in the devs anymore.
I mean, that's fine, but they should still try.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, they should try. It's just I don't know
I
how
don't
far
know.
that's going to
Well,
get
I
them.
don't know why you had to say that then, because it's like, I don't know, it's not relevant.
Well, no, it's relevant because like yeah, like they should be changing gameplay, but like they're not making them fun and they're breaking more things than they're fixing.
Yeah. Again, I don't really like their track record since 3.0.
Yeah.
I don't know. We went way down the rabbit hole from developer harassment to here. And you went on a long rant, and I don't remember what it had to do with the prompt.
Oh, it was just like
Marauders
them,
being Marauders and people not liking the way Marauders play currently.
yeah, like it's just one of those things where it's like I feel like the Jaranowski thing is going to be a reason for them to not communicate as much anymore. And like at some level, I will not be able to blame them fully because when your devs are legitimately being harassed and threatened, like I would like if I was in their position, I would absolutely close ranks and keep things closer to the vest. Absolutely, I wouldn't like really down on them for that, but it's like it's unfortunate if that's the case because they've already had a communication problem throughout the history of this game, and for it to hypothetically get worse would be really rough, especially when they were actively, whether or not they succeeded, I don't know if I can speak to that, but they were actively attempting to be better communication in this expansion. I don't know how effective they were, but
I mean,
I worry that this is going to be a big step back.
They're gonna. I hope that they're not just going to close ranks and stop talking again, because it really hurts them when they do that. And I think they recognize that.
He did actively threaten it, though.
He did not threaten it. That's your mischaracterizing.
He put it in. It was put in bold, wasn't it?
No. Also,
Something was
like
put in bold.
characterizing it as a threat, that's like.
Okay, a promise then. What? I don't mean a threat like a. I don't mean it like it's.
He's not like.
I don't mean it in an
He didn't
aggressive
take out.
way.
He didn't take out his belt or tell you to go.
Yeah,
get
no,
a
I
switch.
didn't.
Well, no,
But
the
I
fact
don't
that he
mean it like
bolded
that.
it, underlined it, and said the alternative is that we stay silent. That's
Yeah.
Yes, it is
It-
literally.
it's
it's
just-
pointed out.
It's literally saying like if this continues, we don't communicate, and it's like I
No,
understand
no,
that.
no. Look,
That's literally what that
I'm
is
quote
saying.
it. I'm going to quote it. Understand that John didn't need to communicate his perspective about the class. John and the combat team knew giving their views on Sentinels and Marauders in some cases would not be received well, but he did it anyway. The alternative is that we stay silent. Now, that does not mean we are going to just stay silent if this is all we get. And that's not all they got, for example. But this post was written to, I don't know, call out without calling out the people who did it. It's not a threat. I think that's a complete misread of their tone.
It's literally bolded and underlined, and I'm not
That
talking
doesn't
about no
make it a
communication
threat.
at all. If it's not okay, so what was the intention of bolding and underlining? The alternative is that we stay silent. What is the intent of that, basically?
He's saying what we're doing now is better than the alternative.
I think it's just glass half full or half empty kind of thing. It can be viewed either way.
Actually, you have a better case for the next sentence being a threat. If you have it open right now, the next sentence is, if the reaction of this community is to go out of your way to personally harass someone, we will stop having a dialogue. Basically, it is a call out for the people who were assholes. And I don't know. That he's saying this will be the consequence of your actions. That part you could say might be a threat, but I don't think it's written.
Well,
with
I don't
that.
even-
I don't think it's written with
and
that
again-
tone. You better do this or else.
Well, no, I don't mean it. When I said threat, I didn't mean like aggressive or like combative.
I know, but words are important.
Yeah, I just mean like I would not be surprised if because of this, like they do not talk about their intentions of classes and specs for a while. I
Smugglin
wouldn't.
reworded it in a way that I kind of like. Alternate wording that matches what I think was intended. You may not like what we're going to say, but we're going to say it because we don't want to say nothing. Which, yeah, that's how I read it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But then there's the next sentence. which sort of supports you, but whatever.
I just... I don't know how to get out what I'm thinking, so I just won't say it. But it's just... I agree that saying something is better than saying nothing. But what I would ask the devs do in the future, and this is not like victim blaming, this is not John's fault, John didn't deserve this, etc. If everybody in the community, and because like, okay, when I say everybody, like, I don't care if you didn't play the spec at all and you don't care that the changes were made, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you played the class and like basically no one who plays the class likes it, if no one in the Marauder community likes it, when you say to yourself, we understand that some people won't like it, but we're going to say it anyways, the better question is, why doesn't the whole community like what you're trying to do with this class? This isn't like some people don't. And then you say to yourself, okay, so you figure out why they don't like it. But if you say, why don't you like it, and you say, okay, we're still going to make this change, I'm saying, okay, if you're going to make that change, cool, explain to me why it's... And I don't mean explain like I'm demanding. I mean... If you're in the future when you're communicating, if you're making a change that literally no one in the class likes, I'm fine with that. But what I'm saying is, please explain to the community why that change helps the rest of the game in combat. Like,
I want to challenge a few parts of your premise, especially when you say terms like literally no one. You know that's not true. I'm sure there's some nerd out there who actually really enjoys it.
Okay, literally no feedback I have seen from any Marauder thread. And I do not mean literally like figuratively. I mean ask YOLO, we get bored and we go through these threads. I have not seen a thread where a single Marauder has posted saying, I really like this. This playstyle is fun. I have not seen a single...
I've not heard anybody say
Zero.
Annihilation is fun.
I literally haven't seen anyone say that. So
I've seen Carnage.
Figured. Yeah, I've made the argument that I still like Carnage. But no, it's just like, I just don't see anyone saying it's positive. So I'm just saying, like, if you want to say that, like, for the good of the game, for X reason or Y reason, this is why the change is being made and you guys need to get used to it, I'm cool with that. But they're not doing that. I just want the devs to give context to changes.
Well, should you be cool with that?
I'm more cool with it than not. But like for example, like when they killed Madness Sork, right? When they made it to where it was just like bottom of the dumps. Like, okay,
every time you mention this, my list probably gets mad.
Well, no, it's like when they killed it, when it had a damage level that was so shockingly below everyone else when 3.0 launched. It was almost like Madness Sork was operating at the level that the devs wanted. When they talked about in live streams, when they talked about that DPS was going to do less than live, and people were kind of upset, and by kind of, I mean more than kind of, and how on live, nobody was performing worse than live except for Madness Sork.
Well,
like,
there were
no. No one was performing, like, they may have been, like, worse specs, but, like, they were, with gear, they were doing more damage than live, and, like, Madness...
Yeah, I suppose.
Madness without a main hand, but the rest of it was basically BIS, was doing like, what, 43, 4400 or something. With a main hand, it was like 45, 46. Like, on live in 2.0 with a 186 main hand, Madness was being able to do 4.4. Like, and I'm not saying that, like, oh, like, let's all complain. I'm literally saying, okay, so when that change happens, what would have been really interesting for the devs to do is to kind of explain... Not why this was allowed to happen. It's like, okay, so this spec is literally unplayable for PvE. Like it's, and I don't mean unplayable like it doesn't work as a rotation. I just mean like damage it's unplayable. So if we're gonna have that be the case, what I would want the devs to do in the future is when a situation like that happens, I'd like the devs to explain the context just of why is this a thing. And I don't mean why is this a thing, like, justify this to me. I just mean, like, explain what's going on, like, so that the community understands. Because at the time when it happened, the community didn't get it. It was like, why is this spec doing this? This literally doesn't make sense.
Okay. They need somebody who... I don't know if this would be a member of the team or not, or, like, a completely separate person. They need somebody who understands the changes, who can explain them at length.
Yes.
And why
I
they're
remember,
made. But
there is.
But they don't. But they don't do that. Okay, it's always a member of the person who's actually working on it. It's never like a community person doing it, because I don't know, I'm sure they do other shit.
No, I can think of one example where they did it fairly effectively, and I just wonder why they don't do it more consistently. There was a live stream, and this is the patch where they announced they were killing Dot Smash. And I'm sorry to keep using Marauder examples, it's just the best example I can think of. There was a live stream where they had a dev come on, and one of the community members, I can't remember if it was Tate or Musco, literally asked him why certain changes were being made, and he explained why the hybrid was overpowered, why it needed to be changed, and their sort of concept for combat going forward. And I thought that was a really helpful stream, and it let people understand why they were doing what they were doing. And I really wish they would make that a staple of their communication with the community going forward, because I think that was the best that they've done.
I don't remember it. I mean, I probably just didn't watch it because I didn't care about the class.
Well, it wasn't just Marauder. They announced changes for Sin. They announced changes for Sork at the time.
Okay, 2 other classes I don't play. I definitely missed it. But yeah, they need somebody who can do that regularly. If on the forums, if not anywhere else. Or in a stream,
Yeah, just
or
somewhere.
Something. Make a video. Make a video with bullet points and talk about it a little bit. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. In-game examples. I don't think that would take very long at all. I know it wouldn't take very long at all because I've done that. Alright. Developer harassment was the last thing I had on my list of things I wanted to hit. But there is a little bit more that I want to throw in at the end. But is there anything else y'all would like to talk about? Anything you want to go back to that we've discussed already, but that you wanted to make another point about?
Not that I can recall.
Justin?
I don't have anything.
No, I'm good.
What do you have, Justin? Come on, let us know.
What's up?
I'll talk to Justin.
Oh.
I really don't have anything else.
Okay, well, this was Justin's last stream as part of
Well,
this
last stream
show.
talking about Star Wars, yeah.
Well, yeah, last stream talking about Star Wars. He is uninstalled, and what is your subscription over? Is it up?
My subscription ends in like a couple weeks. I'm not obviously there's nothing left in the game for me outside of the people that I played with, and I'll still be like talking to them and mumble and stuff. But the game's ran its course. I do want to say like to the people watching, like or listening later for VOD, like I really enjoyed this game. I'm not gonna like. I don't want you to think that because this was like a fairly negative stream that like were people that hate the game or hate the community or hate the casuals. No, like this was a lot of fun. I know for Milas this was like his first MMO, and like he put a lot of time and effort into it. For me, it was my first MMO, and I went from being an absolutely terrible player to being privileged enough to play with some of the better people that play this game. And I know Snicker probably feels the same way as I do. And you guys, like, this community, even though it has its like really disgusting shit patches, like the people that would threaten a dev, like there are a lot of great people in this community, and I'll miss bitching about the game and talking with you guys in Twitch chat. But yeah, this is probably going to be the last time I talk about Star Wars at length beyond like 1 minute of a comment.
Yeah. I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if I don't know if I'm gonna keep the show going. I definitely won't have it going for the foreseeable future unless we learn something groundbreaking and new. It may just move into a like solo YouTube thing, like I have been doing for a few other things, like the desync video. But yeah. As for Death and Taxes, again, it's really up to other players. I'm willing to go until August. But until then, I expect to have a much smaller footprint in the community than I have had. And Snicker and Miles, you both have quit, right?
Yep.
Playing WoW, so yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to play WoW. Spent $75, played for 2 days, and realized I need a break from being committed to having to raid and do stuff like that, so I'm just chilling.
Oh, you're just chilling? I thought you were actually like leveling your warlock and stuff.
No, actually, I did where was that, High Mall?
We did High Mall.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did High Mall, and it was fun, and I could tell I would enjoy the game, but I just want to kick back and relax and figure out my next move. I guess more than what Justin said, if you want the reasoning why Zorz quit, it's on our website. It's it's not a salt mine. I don't want to make it salty.
You want to give a quick TLDR?
I mean, I pulled up. Main thing is, for me personally, obviously most people know we were in the PTS. PTS was great, fine and everything. Just everything after it kind of just fell apart between the communication from BioWare, the Cortana exploit. Yes, we played our part in that. Not going to get into that. That's a salt mine. And then I guess it's the lack of content. Obviously, everything BioWare did for us, from the stream event to the having us come out to the cantina and honor us on stage, was really cool and everything like that. It's just, for me personally, it's time to move on. I see the game shifting in a way that I respect it. I just don't personally play the game in that manner. So, yeah, it was just time to move on and everything like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much the attitude of the people who are thinking about quitting have. Okay, does anybody else have any other shout-outs they want to give before we sign off? All right. If that's everything, that was State of the Galaxy episode 16. Again, I don't know if or when I'll be doing another one of these. If SWTOR comes out with big news, expect something from me. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm still going to keep tweeting, even though Justin won't. But if SWTOR comes out with something big, I'll tweet about it and put together a show or a video or something like that. So, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all down the line.